So, you're questioning my logic? I had to. You think you know this comic. Think again. Because we're going to get into a little bit more about what it's about today. Hello, welcome back to the channel. This is very exciting. This is my second video doing this, talking about the comic, which is crazy because already there has been, oh my gosh. I don't know if I've mentioned this in the previous video, but I could be wrong. I thought I talked about an announcement that was coming out very soon. If you've been keeping up with the updates, you've probably already seen it. It's a glitch project now and I am so excited. I'm so happy. It already looks so good. If you've seen the preview, go watch it now. I'll have the link in my bio. Oh my goodness. I'll have the link below this video, so go watch it if you haven't already. That being said, it's very exciting and hopefully that'll lead to more people talking about it than just me. I'm not saying I'm not the only one talking about it, just to this capacity, I think so. But to be fair, we haven't exactly gotten into the capacity I'm mentioning because we haven't really gotten into the lore yet. That's because I wanted to make some introductory videos first and then go into it, and this video is also going to follow that. I promise you we'll get into the lore soon. Not yet, sadly. But we gotta get through this first, the introductions, because man, I wish I had this before I started this. So we're gonna be talking about the characters today. If you've seen my previous video, go watch it if you haven't already, because it does have the basics of what you need to know before reading the comic. So go watch that, then come back here, and we're going to actually get into the characters and the basic overview, spoiler-free, of who they are, their personalities, their roles in the story, just very basic level stuff. I promise you, pretty much each character has lore. We're just not going to get into it today. There's too much. In fact, we actually can't do all of the characters at once. I'm going to have to do individual videos for each character, and some might even have more than one video. Rocky, I'm looking at you. And that is because the lore goes so deep, that's why I have a whole channel on this. If you actually want to start reading the comic, I would suggest going there. Or Webtoon, it's also on there as well. It's also on DeviantArt, and that's all of the platforms as far as I'm aware. Unless you want to buy it physically, which I have both volumes, the completed ones, but they're helping me block the sunlight right now. So I can't show you them right now, but they're there, I promise. And I've also become a patron on Patreon. I think that's how you say it. But yeah, I'm $3 per month donor. Is that what it is? I'm a Speakeasy regular. And I'm very excited because I want to get more updates and more art and more stuff. Oh! So let's get to it. Starting strong, we've got Atlas May, the character that pretty much started it all. We've already kind of been through the overview with the last video, but basically what you need to know about him without getting too deep into some lore, because there's a lot. And a lot does go on some spoilery details, so we're gonna have to kind of brush over this character a little bit, just like I did with this mic. But the basic thing that you really just need to know is that he created the Lackadaisy, he created all of this. The reason why most of the people are where they are now is because of this guy. Just because he's dead doesn't mean that he doesn't play a large role in the story. In fact, he plays a very huge role in the story. And I'd argue he's even present in the story, which is nuts to talk about. That gets into some lore as well, so I can't go too far. And he's also somewhat the reason why it fell apart, because he died. His personality is basically just, from what we've seen of him, very quiet, very hard to read apparently, very serious, very no nonsense. And the best way you can see more of his characters through the characters that he's influenced the most, which we will get to in another video at some point. I promise. While I can't get too deep into the lore right now, I can tell you this. The reason why he was named Atlas by the character, when it comes to Tracy J Butler making the I forgot again. So sorry. Once again, I forgot. All of the property that we're talking about is the property of Tracy J Butler. This is not my works. This is not anyone else's works but hers. There's no creative liberties being taken here. It's really just talking about what's already there, and that's it. I don't know if I phrased that correctly or as well as I should have, but this is her work. So if you want to go over, read the comic, I've already said that, see what it's all about, go ahead and do that. I recommend it. I mean, I think this channel speaks for itself. But anyway, the reason why she named the character Atlas, I'm guessing because of the Greek god Atlas. You know, the one that was cursed to hold the world on his back? Or, no, he was a titan. Was he cursed to hold it on his back, or was he just made that? I forget. Either way, that was his purpose, and once Atlas was taken out of the picture, his whole world, the world of Lackadaisy, came tumbling down. So that's why he's called that. But let's move on to the next character, a little bit more intriguing. His wife. Oh, I'm sorry, his widow. I shouldn't joke about that. But, I shouldn't joke about that. Basis of what you need to know about her is she runs the place now. After her husband was... She runs it now. She's the boss. And let's just say she's very, very passionate about getting the Lackadaisy to where it was previously when her husband was alive. I'm gonna be nice here. Just to give you a little bit of a heads up, if you haven't already noticed in my facial expressions, this character frustrates me, and I really wish I could get through the intro without getting at least a little bit annoyed, but, well, here's the thing. The writing, if I am frustrated with any sort of character in this comic, mainly her, I'm not judging the writing at all by any means. She's written extremely well. All of the characters are. Everything in Lackadaisy is. I just don't like what she does in this comic. We can't get into it today. Just know she's very determined to bring back something that was very clearly lost, and the risks that she's willing to take to do that is, let's call it disturbing, to say the least. Yeah, other than that, she's definitely a schmoozer. She is, to be honest, I wouldn't say a flirt or anything like that. But just know that she's definitely not letting her good looks go to waste, if you know what I'm saying. And she's got a knack for collecting some guys in this story. Probably more than any of the other characters. So keep an eye out for that. One of them, well, a few of them actually we're gonna get to today. But she's basically, personality-wise, just very, very condescending is the first word that comes to mind, and also like has this regal air about her that makes her some sort of queen of this hellhole, and it's so annoying. No, I'm not. Nope, no, we're not gonna do it today because I can't get into it right now. If you've already seen the animated short, I'm assuming some of you have at least. You probably have caught on to some things. And one of the biggest things as well, other than the fact that she now runs the place, is that people think, well, not everybody, but there are rumors that she did it, that she murdered her husband. So did she do it? Well, we'll get into that in another video. Trust me, we'll get there, but I do know. So anyway, also something that you should know is that she was a member of the jazz band that plays for Lackadaisy. If you did see the update, the glitch update, you saw her playing and singing with everybody else in the band. That was because she was a part of it originally. And then Atlas happened, and then everything turned upside down. For better or worse. And we'll get into all of those good details next time. Or maybe not next time. I'll have to see actually what the video is going to be next time, but I'll let you know. So I feel the need to skip over to our protagonist, which is interesting because you'd think the story would be based on the murder mystery, and it isn't, which is very interesting. It's more of a subplot to the main plot, which follows this guy. If you've seen the animated short film, you're probably already aware of who this guy is. Rocky Rickaby. He is the main character of this series. Surprising, because in the role of the story, he seems to take a side character sort of role, but he actually plays, well, not really. He actually plays a very huge role in the story overall by bringing in the main conflict and being that person that just annoys the living heck out of most people, and that's kind of why. So probably the best way that I can describe this character is bringing characters that you're already aware of. I would say he's a mix of if you could have the Joker without the murder part. Like if the Joker was not capable of murdering people or hurting anyone. Joker, unable to hurt anyone, mixed with the Cheshire Cat, mixed with Shakespearean theater kid, and that's Rocky. It's true! Let me tell you, this character has layers. Like, a bunch of layers. Layers on top of layers. Like, you don't even know. We haven't even gotten to the... I said earlier, characters that are gonna need a lot of videos. It's this guy. He's the most fleshed out of the characters, and he has the most information, and I cannot even begin to tell you how much info this guy has and how much I know of it. And I probably shouldn't, because there could be room for more useful things in my mind, but no, they're filled with this guy instead. Anyway, he'd probably be happy about that in a very, very not at all creepy way. Anyway, speaking of creepy, he kinda is a little bit, when mainly, well, it's both intentionally and unintentionally, is always smiling very inappropriately. That's why I call him Cheshire Cat, because he's grinning all the time. Very poetic, very obnoxious, no, sorry, not obnoxious, sorry, what? Energetic, very impulsive, which is something that I'm gonna have to talk about later, and very clumsy. To say that he's been through a lot, that is the understatement. Causes a lot of trouble, pretty much makes every situation he's in worse. Eccentric, crazy, unhinged, a lot of those things. Those are just the basic traits that describe this guy. When I say basic, I mean very basic, because, again, a lot of layers, and we're gonna get into those eventually. As far as his role goes in the story, other than bringing the main conflict in, is that he also was originally a part of the band, I should clarify. There's a timeline we're gonna have to put on here, and I didn't want to have to get this deep first video, but it's not gonna make sense unless I clarify some things first. So, the band was a traveling band before they came to Lackadaisy, and that was with everybody that was a part of it now, including Mitzi. Then Atlas came in, then they moved into the Lackadaisy, and then a year before Atlas died, I believe, is when this guy came in. So, interestingly enough, he plays the violin for the band, which is interesting for a jazz band at that time, but that was what he was good at. So, if you've seen the episode preview, you probably saw Mitzi finding him on the street and saying, "Hey, what else can you play?" or something like that, and then he gets pulled in. So he was originally just the violinist for the band, and then he actually became a rum runner. The main one right now, because Mitzi's got no one left. Like I said in the previous video, after Atlas died, a lot of employees left. There are only a few that remain, and Rocky's one of them, along with the rest of the band. So he was chosen to retrieve the liquor on behalf of the business. So that's where he's at now. He's not suited for it, that's for sure. He's proven that, but that's really just to show how desperate the Lackadaisy is at this point. So yeah, that's the basis of his character. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to stop there, which is sad, because there's a lot that we have not covered. We just haven't really even begun to cover, but we'll get back to him, I promise. He probably will be, no, not the next video, sorry. We gotta do, maybe. We'll see. But I'm definitely gonna have a more in-depth video about just this character, but when that's gonna come out, it's definitely not gonna be right away, but I'll let you know. Moving on, naturally, talking about the protagonist, we're gonna get into the second main character, which is Freckle, or Calvin McMurray, but we'll get into why he's called that at another video. But just know it came from Rocky. That's really all you need to know about that. Speaking of which, being his cousin, the two are very close. Close enough to, apparently, him being willing to give up any potential career he had in the future to be a criminal. So yeah, they're pretty tight. I would honestly describe Freckle as like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde situation, where he's literally two different people. On one side, he's very shy, very awkward, introverted, doesn't talk very much, but very kind, very studious. But on the other side, we can't get into that right now, actually, but because we need to talk about the actual comic first, which is probably what I'm going to do for the next video. But just know that he's got a lot of rage underneath that he clearly has not dealt with correctly. So let's just say it comes out. It comes out. I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this without spoiling it. Obviously, if you've seen the animated short, you know, but it's possible that some of you haven't, so I can't get into it yet. But just know, anger. And another thing, one of the reasons why he's so good at what he does, actually, is because he was trained in a police academy. He was originally going to be a police officer. That didn't work out because of something that happened, likely due to the rage we were talking about. And we'll get into that in another video. But moving on, unfortunately, Ivy Pepper, the bright, young, shining star of the Lackadaisy. To sum up her personality, very energetic, maybe not to Rocky's extent, but definitely has a lot of her own, very shifting emotions as well. She is Atlas's goddaughter. What was technically, but is still considered the flapper princess of the Lackadaisy because of this, and has been there since she was a child. If you haven't already seen Ingenue, the short film, I would recommend go watching that, because that does definitely explain a lot of the dynamic between not just her and Victor, but her relationship with the Lackadaisy overall, and how she was involved in the first place. So her dad, Reuben Pepper, who is different from Victor, a lot of people think that Victor's the dad. Thankfully, that got cleared up in the animated world sooner, but Ruby Pepper is her dad. He worked for Atlas, and that's how she became acquainted with the Lackadaisy at such a young age. She's also a college student, so she goes to college in St. Louis and is currently failing a class so she can stay over the summer. So she has an excuse to stay at the Lackadaisy more. And very unaware of a lot of what goes on behind the scenes, behind the curtain, all of the bloody mess that it took for her to live in the bliss that she did, and still kinda does to an extent. Freckle and Ivy are a confirmed couple. How long that's gonna last, not sure. Probably not very long, but I don't know, we'll see. How could we possibly not go from Ivy to Victor Vasco, one of the original workers under Atlas, the muscle, so to speak. From war trenches to the bar, Victor is an ever-working presence in the Lackadaisy, or so he would like to be. Doesn't necessarily like being confined to the bar, but having a bad knee and one eye doesn't help things. He's also Slovakian. A lot of people have probably mistaken his accent for Russian. It's actually Slovakian. It would be closer to a Czech accent. There's a lot of lore on this guy as well. I mean, pretty much everybody I talked about and going to talk about has lore, but can't get into it right now. But on that note, if you don't know why we switched from Ivy to Victor, what their connection is because apparently Ivy is the only one that he can get close to without pummeling to the ground or breaking their bones or something worse. Moving on to Victor's former co-worker is Mordecai Heller, a current worker underneath Asa and the Marigold. Why, you ask? Another video. If you haven't already seen, haven't already guessed, I mean, just from looking at the guy, he's highly intelligent, highly skilled, and highly lethal. I mean, we all know if a black cat crosses your street, that's bad luck. With him, it's even worse. Probably the most calculating and strategic of any of the characters. He's a force to be reckoned with. Or you don't wanna. You don't wanna, though. Has an obsession with symmetry. Oh, wait. Am I? Hang on. Yeah, I'm in the center. I am in the center, right? Being the current gunman for Marigold has definitely severed his connection with Lackadaisy almost entirely. But he does have some secret information, some things that he's uncovering little by little about the death of his former boss. And we'll get to that in another video. Moving a little bit out of the connection trail. Another character that you should definitely know about is Dorian Zibowski, or Zib. While you might think he's just the sax player, there's much more to him than meets the eye. He holds a lot of importance in the story, trust me. While you think he gets important later, he actually always was. That's going to be interesting to get into later on. When it comes to personality, he's very sarcastic, very cynical, pessimistic. Those two words mean the same thing. Very philosophical, and also the only sane person, apparently, in this whole mix, who is saying, hey, maybe it would be a good idea if we didn't stick around for much longer. Because, we might die. Smokes a lot, drinks a lot, is barely ever sober, is basis of what you need to know about him, but he'll get more interesting the more we keep going on, trust me. I don't honestly think people talk about him enough. But we will. Later, though. Later. While he may not seem as intriguing as the other characters, I promise you, he is. Cedric Sable, or known as Wick to his friends. Basis of what you need to know, he's very rich. Sorry, I can't. I'm sorry. It's a fact. That's why he plays the role in the story that he does. Much to Mitzi's liking. See what trail I'm getting on already? You see? I promise you I'm not gonna be the only one that's annoyed with her by the end of this. He's actually a quarry magnate who basically just blows a bunch of dynamite into the earth and makes a profit off of it. A lot of paperwork and just as much of a workaholic as an alcoholic apparently, which is probably one of the things that draws him to the Lackadaisy. Or maybe there's another reason. His character's probably the only explicitly nice character that doesn't get himself too involved with criminal activity, if you catch my drift there. So, very sweet guy, maybe a little bit naive, too much for his own good. All of that will come to a head in another video. Now we're on to the Savoys, the voodoo brother and sister that work under Marigold and Asa. Apparently they actually were enemies of the Marigold that would hijack a lot of their produce, illegal produce that is, and then apparently Asa had the whole, if you can't beat him, make him join you. So I don't know how long that logic's gonna last him, but we'll see. Nico was, I believe, a former boxer. Seraphine, not too sure about her. She has a big gun, huge gun. So there's that. Then also, finally, we have Asa's Sweet, the boss of Marigold. So he's actually been pretty successful since the Lackadaisy fell apart, simply because that's the only other hotspot that people have been going to that hasn't been raided so far, hasn't had their boss killed. So, terrible jokes, candy lover, and just overall annoyance, mainly to people like Mordecai. This guy is someone we all love to hate, for sure. Is he suspicious of what happened to Atlas? Maybe. We're gonna have to find out. Then we have the Arboghasts. Their roles are gonna be made more apparent in the comic as well. We can't really talk about it right now. Just know that they own a funeral home, funerary business, and worked under Lackadaisy for some time. Now are under Marigold, as many of the former Lackadaisy employees also are. The Arboghasts are made up of Bobby Bastian, Elsa, his wife, and Abelard, her brother. Let's just say he's a Protestant preacher, and that gets on my nerves, being a PK. But anyway, there are other characters that are also important to the story, like Nina McMurray. She's Freckle's mom, very Irish Catholic mom. Let's just say she might not know about his whereabouts when it comes to his job, nor her nephews, but she's not above guilt-tripping him. There's a lot of lore with her too, but another video. There's also Lacey Hart, who is Wick's secretary. She is incredible. I love her. So excited for when she's gonna show up in the new episode. Very excited for that. Not very much to go over with her, other than that's her position. There's also Virgil, Miss Babka, Dr. Quackenbush, Captain Kehoe. They're all just kind of minor characters. Their role becomes pretty clear when the story gets running. We are going to go over each of the volumes individually, probably 2 parts for each volume, but we are going to go over it as best we can. I'm going to summarize the plots of the volumes. So once we get there, the minor characters' roles are going to be made more clear and more apparent when we get there. There's also Edmund Church, Wick's friend, Horatio, who is the new doorman of the speakeasy. And last but certainly least, we've got the pig farmers. They're going to play a huge role when we get to volume 1 and when season 1 is going to release. So we'll probably get to their characters before the pilot releases. So this is just to give some extra content. So there you have it. That's all of the basic info about the characters of Lackadaisy. We'll definitely get more into their backstories, the deeper roles that they have in the story, what makes them as important as they are. Next video, we possibly will get into or start getting into the volumes themselves, the story itself, summarize it all into one nice big overview. So you don't necessarily have to read the comics when these videos come out. I would still suggest that you do, simply because the art is just gorgeous to look at. If I were you and I was hearing all of this stuff happen to the characters, I would be like, oh, well, I want to see it, then go read the comic. I'll keep you updated by next video if we're not talking about the volumes and there's something else that I probably forgot to talk about that we still need to talk about before getting into it. But I think that's basically all we need to know as of right now before we actually dive in. So while you don't have to read the comics, I would say that you probably should. Please, they're really good. There's a reason why I'm rambling about them and taking so long to do so. And also just to support the comic, the creator, and everything that these people are doing to make it come to life as well. All of the crew, all the cast. I was going to put a link to a certain website that would help fund the project, but fortunately, I don't think you necessarily need to actually go and help fund it. The Kickstarter is over. Pretty much everything that needed to be paid for is paid for now. And now that it's a glitch production, I highly doubt that they need more direct help. However, as Tracy J. Butler said in the announcement, our viewership does help in engaging with the community of Lackadaisy, engaging with the fandom. All of that helps. Buying things at the Lackadaisy shop also helps. So if you do want to help the project, I would suggest doing that. Just get yourself into it. If you think that this is something for you, if you've watched both of these videos and you're like, yeah, I want to get into this, then by all means do. Go on this journey with all of us. Help us support this thing. Make it more well known. Any way that you can make it more well known, either by TikTok on edits, talking about it like I am. Please join me in this to get it more well known, to get it out there. I think that it being a glitch production is definitely going to get the word out there a lot more than it already has, but you know, there's always something that we can do to help. And even if hey, say that they didn't need our help, that's fine too, because we can just talk about it and we can have fun and build this community, make it bigger, and yeah, just have fun with this. But yeah, so that's all for now. Until next time.